What is the meaning of life? What is the actual point of life? That is a question that will get very different answers depending on who you ask. If you ask me what the meaning of life is, and maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm wrong, I think it's about experiencing things. I think it's about seeing differences and really having an understanding of the world around you. In the context of this, and in the context of me completely and cleanly outlining what my opinions are and my beliefs, I want to speak about a path that I went down and a path that a lot of young people go down in today's world. Because someone left a very smart comment, and I agree. They said, if you are a business owner, if you always wanted to be a business owner, why did you go down the path of getting a degree? Why did you go to university? Was it a waste of time? Was it a waste of money? Was it worth it? And I want to make a video addressing that. Because a lot of people go to the path of university. It's a pushed path. It's a prescribed path. And you know what? I am glad that I did. Some people say it's a waste of time. Some people say it's a waste of money. The £60,000 that you pay here in the UK, waste of money for the actual degree. But the experiences I had in that time, I cannot value enough. I cannot treasure them enough. The people that I met, the fun times that we had, I can literally pull up memories right now from my mind and have a laugh, right, of things that happened in the past year or 2 or 3 when I was doing my degree. So the people that I met, the vibes that we had, the experiences were great, right? And I can probably tell you guys some stories as the months and weeks and years go on, but let's not do that today. So that was worth it. It wasn't worth the money, but it was worth the experience. But here's the thing. I went, like most people do, at aged 18. And I think there's a big problem with this. Because we push people down these degrees at aged 18, and they don't end up feeling happy, end up feeling fulfilled. There's a pressure that's put on these people, and I think it's almost done on purpose, in a way that's almost intentional, in a way that almost traps people in a path, because you start planning what you want to do at university when you're 16, 17. I know I'm only 21 years old, and to someone who's 30, 40, it might sound like I'm still very young myself, but looking at a 16, 17-year-old, with hindsight of where I was, where they are now, that is a world away from where I feel like I am, right? You're not old enough to have a car, you've probably not had a job, you've definitely not lived by yourself, compared to a full adult at 21. If I went back to university now, not to sound like one of those people that looks at everything with hindsight and misery, but if I went back to university and went to year 1, I'd do everything differently, right? But here's the thing. That's not what's encouraged. Because everyone is supposed to, we're told to go to university at 18. We're told that if we don't do it, it'll be harder to get in after college, and it's more of a challenge and you have to sort it out by yourself, when in reality, you'd be just fine. Why do we encourage people to do this? Because most of the people who end up doing this seem to get out with a degree that is either stupid and pointless, or that they're not happy with, right? I could say with full conviction that first year I wanted to be a business student, right? By the time it was third year, I couldn't have wanted to do anything less. I wish I'd have done psychology. I wish I'd have done art. Something like that. Something that people may say is a worthless degree, but think about it. A career in business comes from a business degree. Not necessarily, but likely. Now, certain careers, like psychology, for example, comes from a psychology degree. Almost exclusively, you have to have one. But at aged 18, people like myself and many people around me were told, well, you want to be rich, right? You should get a business degree. And of course, no one in my family went to university. I didn't know. I didn't have anyone to draw relation to or whatever. Well, that must be the right way because graduates make more money. What if you change your mind? What if it's not true? You don't know any better. And no one should expect you to because you're 18, but you do. At age 18 or 17, when you're told to choose, you make a decision that influences the rest of your life. If you don't change careers, if you don't build a business. I know people might say I'm taking that extreme. I don't think I am. The job, if you're doing a job 40 hours a week for 40 years, that is an awful lot of your time. That's most of your time. This will influence the rest of your life if you go down the traditional path. So if that's the case, why do we make people choose so early? Like, genuinely. I think it's a bit wrong. And I know some people will say, well, the right thing to do is to get stuck into the workforce. You should get your degree and graduate when you're 21, then you'll have more opportunities to compound wealth. What about life? What about actual life? Now, if you're the kind of person who's comfortable working a job that you hate for 40 years in an industry that you don't like, power to you. You struggle on, well done you. There's a lot of people out there who don't live like that, don't want to live like that, and don't need to live like that. A lot of the people that I have met and have known and did my degree with dropped out. And I know people might say, well, that's stupid. Well, it is, but it's because of the path that they're prescribed onto. They're told that they should have gone down the business degree, when in actuality they're doing better now because they've got an apprenticeship and they're going to have a business in plumbing, in electrical, right? They're going to have a business anyway. That's probably going to pay better than what their graduate degree job will. Actually, it will pay better. But again, a load of gullible people are sold on this idea. Now, here's what I would say, and I don't know where I'm making this video from. I know a lot of my videos are just based on my thoughts of the day, of the time, and right now, it seems that I'm in a bit of a reflective mood, right? I wish I didn't go to university at 18. I wish I'd have kicked it down the can until at least 20, probably 21, maybe 22. Career-wise, would that have put me behind everybody else? Probably. But here's the thing. Number one, a lot of 18-year-olds are not ready to embrace the experience fully. A lot of them are still like children, right? Then you're expected to move out into a new city. You don't have an understanding of the adult world full stop, but you've got to move out straight away. You've got to embrace in these lectures and lessons and partying and, I don't know, a lot of the stuff that comes with that. Now, you don't have to live like that as a student, but you get the point. It's a big change from the family home, let's say. And at 18, a lot of people aren't ready for that. So what do I think that people, in my humble opinion, and again, this is not like my word is the go-to, it's just my opinion. What do I think that the path for 18-year-olds should be? What do I think that they should do? Well, we have to split this into two paths, because irrespective of what you want, it's about what you can afford. Some people are fortunate enough to come from rich families. I am not. Don't hold it against anyone that is, but, some people are. If you can get financing off your parents, or maybe your own savings if you've been working since your younger years, I would try and either have a gap year to do nothing, or travel, right? Because your mind expands so much in that age range. I know it sounds stupid, and it may sound patronising to anyone who's older than me or whatever, but your mind expands so much in that age range. I can now acknowledge that I'm learning all the time. As a 21-year-old, I know it sounds stupid, but I can now understand what I don't know. When I was 18 or 16 or whatever, I thought I knew everything. But you didn't know what you didn't know. You did not know what you didn't know. I can now comfortably say that there's a lot of stuff that I don't know anything about. And I'm comfortable acknowledging that. I can learn, I can shut up and listen and do different things and follow the path of people who tell me because I know that they know better. But at 18, that's not there. So what's my point here? My point here is this. If you have a year hanging out with your old school friends, your college friends, your friends from your town or whatever, as an 18 to 19-year-old, you'll learn a lot. You're now interacting in the adult world. Maybe you're driving for the first time. Maybe you are thinking about moving out. Maybe you are ready to move out by the time you're 19, 20. Maybe you've got your first serious relationship. A lot of stuff happens at that young age, right? And to add the pressure of moving, it can be a big thing. If you spend the time either traveling to expand your mind or simply just being in your area to expand your mind, you can have time to think. When you're not doing anything and you're bored, you can think about what you want to fill your time with. Maybe a degree is not for you. Maybe you want to be a plumber. Maybe you want to be a engineer. Maybe you want a degree. Maybe you don't. But that's one option, right? Either staying in your area for a cheaper living cost or traveling. Another huge thing I think people should do, and I do say this, should do, is spend a year or 2 or 3, work a job. Any job. Part-time, ideally. Part-time is enough time, in my opinion, to make you think about what you want in life, genuinely and deeply, and experience it, and enough time to give you time to work and experience that world. You might work in a shop and realise that a career in retail management is for you, or supply chain management. That's a great degree to get, right? Or maybe retail manager, you don't need a degree. You might realise it's the opposite of what you want. And that might be your cause or your need to get a degree quickly or soon. Alternatively, or perhaps alongside that, you'll be building up the cash, which number one will come in handy for university. Number two will build your living, will cover your living costs, or give you money to travel with. And number three is just a great position to be in. The more money you have, the more opportunities you have, right? It's a way of the world, whether people like that or not. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. If you've got 10 grand saved up after working for 3 years, you can travel. If you've got 10 grand saved up, you can go on party nights when you do go to university. You can look good, have a nice laptop, have nice clothes, right? The things that we look back on, and they might be financially stupid decisions, but I don't care, right? I'm a guy that focuses on making money online and building a business, but I don't regret spending money. I treasure those days, right? The expense of the drinks that you bought, the expense of the days and nights out that you went on, the trips, pales in comparison to how much fun it was. So I think the people who say, well, you should only focus on money, have you actually lived, right? And I don't mean you've lived by working multiple jobs. What have you actually done that's fun, that people can aspire to? Tell me a fun story from now, from your youth, from your later years, whatever. If you've not had a fun story, I don't need to take your advice because you're miserable, right? And I don't say that to be arrogant. Again, like I say, I know what I don't know, but at the same time, I also know that the sort of people who think things like this are probably people who've not had much fun at all. And that's just a fact. So when you've got that saving, you can either travel or you can have a comfortable life, right? You can have time to think, even more time to think. But most importantly is this: whatever you do it for the right reasons and do it for yourself. You know, your lecturer or your college teacher or whatever, I don't mean your university, I mean your actual college or sixth form or whatever, they'll be quick to tell you about why you need a degree and why it's good for you. But at the end of the day, look, number one, they're just helping to perpetuate a system of getting you in debt. And number two, they clearly don't know that much about being successful because they're a college lecturer. I don't mean university. Again, I know the Americans may get confused. I mean college, like sixth form or whatever Americans might call that. I don't know, late years, high school, whatever. They're not doing that well, so let's get that out of the way first. And number two, this is your life, right? They're not the ones paying off the 60 grand of debt, you are. So make sure it's worth it, is my point. Make sure it's absolutely worth it. Because if it's not, there's other career paths, right? And as an 18-year-old, again, you don't know what you don't know. You think that if you go to university, or if you don't go, it's the make or break. It's the make or break. But with how many people are getting degrees now, a degree is worth less and less, right? That the skills where you work with these are worth more and more. So even these days, people who are after the money, less and less I think it's about getting a business degree and more about being an electrician, right? Or building an online business. Things that you can get paid to do. Things that you don't have to get in debt for. And by the way, I'm not holding the decisions that I've made against anybody. Like I say, I wouldn't take it back for the world. I had a blast in my time. It was fun. But at the same time, this is worth considering, right? We push our young people down a path that they don't like, that they don't necessarily need to be on, and that's probably not best for a lot of them. If 60% of people are going to university, does that mean that more than half of the population are academics? Does it mean that half of the population want office jobs or jobs in that field? What about construction? What about electricians? What about plumbers again? What about being a train driver? These are all well-paying jobs, so they can be. So just have a think about if you need that debt, if you want that debt. Don't do it because all your friends are doing it exclusively. If that's part of the reason, that's great, but don't do it because it's the it thing. Because again, you'll be the one paying the debt off. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I talking nonsense? Is this a good topic for a video? Is it not? I just think as time goes on, I see a lot of things for what they are, and university for a lot of people is not about moving them forwards. It's not about moving them forwards. I know a lot of graduates who got degrees thinking that they're going to have jobs in games design, fashion, and the fashion that they got working a clothes shop. Games design? There's not jobs for a lot of these people, right? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but university is just not the right path for everybody, and we need to make more of a point of acknowledging that in society. It'll help people to be better off financially, and it'll help society when people go into trades that we need.